I was having y'all, your boy Rico from StreetScores, and man, oh man, the Washington Commanders have started 1-0. Remember, we didn't start 1-0 last year. We went to the NFC Championship game. It started 0-1 because the Buccaneers caught us lacking. Nah, we caught another team lacking this time. We have now beaten the Giants 3 times in a row. We're going to dive into the stats behind that. We got to dive into some recent Commanders history that it takes us all the way back to like 20 years ago, man. We got to dive into, of course, you know me, every game. We're going to dive into each position group, every player that contributed, whether, good or bad. Just because we won 21-6, that doesn't mean that everything was perfect. We got to talk about the good and the bad of even Jaden Daniels specifically. He had good moments. He had bad moments. So we're going to talk about every position group, every player, quarterback, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. And I love to make sure I give props and thanks to the guys that are, overlooked sometimes. Like that Deebo Samuel touchdown at the end of the game. Shouts out to Ja'Cory for a great block, but also Luke McCaffrey. Like, we're going to dive into things like that. I've had some time to rewatch the game a little bit. I have some crazy stats to give you about how the Commanders defensive line is looking like one of the best defensive lines in the NFL so far just through this first weekend of football. We look like a top 5 defense. We have a rookie corner on an island with the best receiver in the division in Malik Neighbors, bro. The Washington Commanders won 21-6. We're here to do a review. Again, advanced stats. I'm going to give out game balls. I'm going to do some stock ups and stock downs because, again, not everything was perfect. There were some players in there that were fairly inconsistent or just overall didn't have that good of a day. We're going to dive into all of that and more, but before we do, make sure you still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Appreciate y'all that pulled up to my live stream, man. Super shout out to everybody that donated during the live stream, to the super chat and the cash apps. Y'all are the GOAT. But shouts out to everybody that just pulled up and just kicked it with me to watch the game while I was doing my live play-by-play analysis and stuff like that, man. And it was giving me energy. I was giving y'all energy back. We were super hyped, man. And then the way that the refs were acting, we had to get on the refs at a certain point in the game in certain different parts. So that was just a really fun stream. I wouldn't have it any other way than watching Commanders games with y'all live streaming. So make sure you pull up because we have a quick week to turn around, bro. We play the Green Bay Packers on Thursday. I'll be doing a live stream then as well. Appreciate everybody that put up to the stream, that left a like and all of that type of stuff. And I'm just excited, man, because football is back, bro. The Commanders are 1-0. Let's get it, man. Let's go ahead and dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so let's get some general things out the way first. First of all, I was wearing this Sean Taylor jersey. Now, granted, it's old and beat up, but it is my Sean Taylor jersey, a little ripped. Again, I've had this jersey since, like 7th grade? And it's too big for me now. And I'm like 6 foot 230. It's still way too big for me. So I don't know what was going on back in 6th grade when I was 5 foot something, maybe 130 pounds. What was going on? Why they gave me this jersey this huge? I know that was a style back then, like the whole Den Franchise Boys era and lean with it, rock with it and stuff like that. But out of the way, this jersey is too big for me now, and it was for sure too big for me then. But my point is, I'm wearing this jersey every game. We started off 1-0. I know, what I'm saying, that the Commanders did a great job on defense. We had flashes of greatness and elite play on offense as well. I'm not going to sit here and take credit for why the Commanders won, but it's going to be a really hard time to get me to take off this jersey in any game that we play. I already know my black Jaden Daniels jersey is a little cursed. We saw that last year, so we're going to stick with the old. It's a little beat up, but it's a classic Sean Taylor jersey. Now, first of all, the Washington Commanders, of course, now start 1-0, but not only 1-0 overall record-wise, how about 1-0 in the division? Eagles, same thing with beating the Cowboys. So now the Giants and the Cowboys each 0-1 overall and 0-1 in the division. Not a great start for those guys. Great start for us, though, and the Eagles didn't look that good, and even in that win over the Cowboys, I think we are the best team in the division. Shouts out to Grant Paulson for pointing out the fact that down the Commanders start 1-0. Next stop, Green Bay on Thursday Night Football. Tons to like today. Daniels threw for 233 yards, ran for 71. That's very impressive. So even though he didn't throw for 300 yards, he contributed over 300 yards between his arm and his legs. JCM, of course, 10 attempts, 82 yards and a touchdown in his debut. You know we got to dive into that, man. Deebo Samuel, 8 touches. That's including in the passing game and the run game, 86 yards and a touchdown. Deron Payne had a sack and a half and 2 passes defense with 2 balls batted down. Javon Kinlaw, 2 tackles for losses and a huge presence. But again, we're going to get there. As we go through each position group, not only am I going to give you the best players that stood out the most and who really impacted the game, but I even have some advanced stats to give you, especially defensively. And then, just to let you know, Ben Standig pointed out the fact that 21-6, that's the fewest points allowed in the game by the Commanders since Week 18 of the 2022 season. That was when we beat the Cowboys 26-6 in Sam Howell's first start. And to remind you, the Cowboys already had their playoff spot shored up, so they rested their starters pretty much like all game, especially like very early on in the game. I think they may have went out there like a drive or two, maybe a first quarter of some starters out there, but for the most part, they had a lot of backups out there. And so that holding the Cowboys late 2022 to 6 points is completely different than holding the Giants starters to 6 points the entire game. This was our most dominant defensive game that we've had at least since before that 2022 season. It's actually really crazy. Also, shouts out to Brian Colbert Jr. for pointing out the fact that the last time the Commanders won 3 games in a row over the Giants was a 4-game win streak back in 1999 to 2000. I was barely born. I definitely didn't even know what was going on with football at that point in my life that early on. That is crazy. So really, I mean, it's not the first time in my lifetime, but the first time in my football awareness life that the Commanders have at least been able to win 3 games in a row over the Giants, which is insane, bro. But it's a new era for everything. There's always time. And also, Washington Commanders PR pointed out the fact that this is the first time that Washington is not allowed a touchdown at home against the New York Giants and won the game since 1979. I wasn't even thought about way back then. That is crazy. And then I'm just so happy about how happy y'all were. Shouts out to all y'all at the game. I was hoping going into the game that we would have the crowd like 70-30, 70 Commanders fans, 30% Giants fans. It kind of looks that way, especially in this clip right here that Nick Javala uploaded of the fans leaving the stadium very excited. And then you also have the Commanders players right here excited while they're leaving. Shouts out to Scott Abraham. You even have Bob Myers in the locker room, man. Bob Myers like loves to be around the Commanders, bro. I love the fact that he loves to be around us this much, man. And Zach Ertz and Terry McLaurin look so happy. We're all happy, man. Now let's move on to some injury updates. It seems like for the most part, now of course Dan Quinn's got to come out and give us an official update once we finally practice. And again, I have no idea when we practice because we just played Sunday. They're supposed to get a rest day on Monday. Maybe they practice Tuesday. Highly doubt they practice Wednesday because we got to go to Green Bay and then we play Thursday night. So I don't know how this is going to work, but at some point Dan Quinn is going to give us some sort of an update on injuries. But I mean, it didn't seem like anything too crazy happened. Will Harris got hurt at one point but came back in and played very well and made a few plays in the back of the end zone with Lattimore. I remember that. Samra still walked off the field to the sideline with the trainers at one point. He came back in and played well. Tress Way is the only injury where it's like open-ended because at some point with the back injury, he was questionable to return and then we never ended up punting again. So we still don't know what's going on with Tress Way. But I just wanted to give y'all that injury update just based off of what we know so far. Then coaching staff wise, I mean, just Dan Quinn. I just felt like the clock management, I don't know what was going on. Our timeout management felt horrible. Now, there is an interesting stat that Sam Fortier brought up that I don't necessarily feel like is all Dan Quinn's fault because I feel like the time we challenged that Terry McLaurin thing, I feel like we deserved to win that challenge. I feel like on the field, it should have been called a catch. I really felt like that was a catch looking at the replay. But Dan Quinn has had 29 challenges so far in his career, 12 overturned and 17 upheld. So that's not necessarily the best record. And then he's had a tough last couple of years. He's 0-1 this year with that Terry McLaurin that should have been a catch and should have been overturned in his favor. All of that type of stuff. Also, he was 2-5 last year. He was 0-1 in 2020 partial and then 0-5 in 2019. So, I mean, he's had a rough stretch recently. But I don't blame him for that one today, to be honest with you. But I just hated the fact that we used our last timeout with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. What was that? I didn't understand that. And even going into halftime, and I'm going to blame Cliff Kingsbury for that one, with like 28 seconds left, we called our last timeout of the half from like right outside of the red zone. Why did we even do a running play there? Why didn't we do a passing play? Now, granted, Jaden Daniels got a lot of yards out of it, but then we ended up in a crazy situation where Jaden Daniels throws the ball out of the end zone, and we're right there. We're nearly like, maybe you want to consider just running a play with 2 seconds left. We're right there. I think we can score a touchdown, but you don't even have enough time to kick a field goal, because after Jaden Daniels throws the ball out of the back of the end zone for intentional grounding, it's a 10-second runoff as well, and we ended up getting no points right there at like the 2-3 yard line, which was insane. Also, 12 penalties for a total of 89 yards from penalties is terrible. I blame the refs for a lot of it, but I still feel like we deserve a lot of the blame. But like I was saying all throughout the live stream, even when the refs were making bad calls our way, to where like it was just, come on, dog, do we have to beat the Giants and the refs today? It really felt like that at certain points in this game. But I always say, man, I'm never going to use the refs as an excuse. I'm never going to do that, because we have to understand, the refs are never going to be on our side. So we have to go out there ready to outperform the team that we're going against and the refs. We're held to a different standard than other teams. I don't know why. Even though we have all of the primetime games, we're tied with the Chiefs for the most primetime and standalone games this season out of the entire NFL. The NFL is treating us like we're just this team that everybody is rooting for and wants to win. The refs haven't shown it to us so far in the first week of this season. But at the end of the day, refs are gonna ref, and you just can't count on the refs to give you good calls. There were a couple of calls there where the refs were on our side, and honestly, it should have gone the other way to the Giants. I feel like the Giants got way more bad calls that benefited them than we got bad calls that benefited us. I feel like there was a huge disparity there. But I'm not going to sit here and act like the Giants just completely had the refs on their side the entire game. And at the end of the day, even if they did, we can't depend on that. So that's the last time I'm really going to like super speak on the refs. I may bring it up a couple of times here and there, but I want you to know that my thoughts on it is, know that the refs are going to cheat. Just go ahead and acknowledge that going into the game and adjust around it. We're held to a different standard. Play like it, bro. Don't allow them to take the game away from you. How about you have such a big lead that the refs can't do anything to potentially win the game for the other team? Like when we're in these close games in other situations, don't even allow it to get to that point. Now, also, first half wise, I did want to point out the fact that the Commanders had more rushing yards in the first half with 87 than the Giants had passing and rushing yards combined with 79 at halftime. That is absolutely insane. That's more of dominance from our defense than anything else. Even though our run game was really good as well, that's just more dominant defense. Again, the Giants had 79 total yards at halftime. The Commanders had 87 rushing yards at halftime alone. That is insane. Also, shouts out to Kevin Sheen. He pointed out the fact that, first half wise, great half from the defense. Kinlaw's presence was noticeable. Penalties, drop passes, and bad handling of the final few seconds of a half called points. Plenty of still, Washington was much better as the team in the first half over the Giants. I completely agree. Now let's dive into the quarterback, bro. First of all, Jaden Daniels had a Japanese flag on his helmet today to honor his grandmother because she was of Japanese descent. I thought that was pretty cool. I never knew that. I never do that. So shouts out to JP Finley for pointing that one out. And then, man, Jaden Daniels showed a lot of flashes of greatness today, bro. He had those moments where it's like, yo, that's that top 5 quarterback there. But also, he was a little bit more inaccurate than I'm typically used to them seeing, especially on like a pass-to-pass basis. Even some passes that he completed was like underthrown or thrown behind the receiver, like that one Jalen Lane drop. Granted, Jalen Lane has to catch that, but like the pass was so far behind him, it was a tough catch. And if Jaden Daniels just threw it where it was supposed to be, Jalen Lane would have caught that first target that he got in the game. Now, granted, he went right after that and made up for it. The immediate next play, he caught a pass and then ran for a first down. And I love that. I feel like we need to stop and talk about that. And I'm probably going to talk about this again because that was a very common theme, not only for this team throughout this game with multiple players, Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Lane, Deebo Samuel. This happened all throughout the game, but this also happened quite a bit last season. I love the mentality of this team. It's almost an identity at this point where if a player makes a mistake, you go back to them as soon as possible and allow them to make up for it. And so Jalen Lane was able to do with that play. Jaden Daniels did a couple of times again. Up and down day. He showed flashes of top 5 quarterback. I'm not about to sit here and act like his overall day was just bad. I'm not even going to sit here and act like the overall day was great. There were great moments, bad moments. And I feel like that kind of perfectly encompasses the overall offense. The overall offense had great moments where it looks like there's no way you can stop this offense. There's no defense in the NFL that can stop this offense. And then there were other times we were just shooting ourselves in the foot and just weren't playing well, weren't executing to the level that I'm used to. So I'm really excited. I mean, this game made me optimistic with the fact that like we can win 21-6 and our offense, I feel like played, according to our standard, pretty poorly. You know what I'm saying? Overall, I feel like if our offense was as good as it was against the Detroit Lions last year, against how we had to, do that coming from behind to beat the Falcons, especially how we played against the Tennessee Titans, I feel like you win this game 40-something to 6. Like, I feel like our offense is capable of that. I think this offense is going to score 30 or more points a lot this game, and a lot of games. But today they just didn't execute. I feel like we beat ourselves in a lot of different ways, and Jaden Daniels was a part of that. And I also feel like, man, you could just tell that Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin, the chemistry just isn't there yet. I really think Terry McLaurin holding out a lot of the training camp and offseason really hurt his chemistry with Jaden Daniels. Because, I mean, more than anything else, you can see with the chemistry that Jaden Daniels had with Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel had a couple of drops, but it seemed like every Deebo Samuel throw was on target. It seemed like every Terry McLaurin throw was either overthrown in a deep ball that should have been a 75-yard deep touchdown, huge play, biggest play of the game potentially. And then you also had the underthrow that ended up getting challenged, and we didn't win the challenge even though we should have. It was definitely a catch. He got his arms underneath it, but it neither here nor there. At the same time, Jaden Daniels had to slightly underthrow that one. You know what I'm saying? Now, shouts out to the coverage. That's kind of why he probably underthrew it a little bit as well. But you could just tell that the chemistry that Jaden Daniels has with Deebo Samuel surpasses the chemistry that he has with Terry McLaurin right now. And I feel like a lot of the blame, I don't think it's a coincidence that Terry McLaurin is the one that missed most of training camp, missed the most of the offseason. So I'm not surprised there. But Jaden Daniels, man, I mean, his ability to use his legs, he has some quarterback design runs, but he also had some really great scrambles that really got us out of some bad situations, like 2nd and long, 3rd and long. Jaden Daniels, it's a passing play. He scans the field. He doesn't like what he sees. Now, of course, I can't wait to get to all 22 to see if maybe there was some throws he could have made out there to potentially get more yards out of it. But I liked what I saw live and looking at the replay real quick before I started recording this video, that, hey, man, I liked him using his legs and picking up the yards when they were available. And outside of quarterback design runs, I feel like he did a good job of avoiding taking hits. If it was like a quarterback scramble on a passing play that was called by Cliff Kingsbury, not a design run for Jaden Daniels, I feel like Jaden Daniels did a pretty good job of avoiding taking hits, getting out of bounds, doing whatever he has to do, bruh. But, I mean, he had some elite plays in there. Like, I remember 10 minutes and 45 seconds left in the first quarter, bro. I mean, that throw to Chris Moore was insane, bro. It was 2nd and 4, and we're on our own side of the field, and he just throws this absolute perfect dart dime right where it needs to be to Chris Moore, bro. It was absolutely beautiful, and I was looking like, whoa, Chris Moore? That was insane, bro. I was like, wow, since when? Of course, that 2-minute drill before the end of the first half did not go well again, because you had Jaden Daniels throwing the ball out of the back of the end zone, and we ended up not getting any points because of it. But there were even moments, like I remember seeing Jaden Daniels really upset that we called a timeout. Like, even before they called it, it was like, no, we good. Please don't call it. Don't call the time. You can hear him, like, over the live broadcast, don't call the timeout. And then they called it. He was pretty upset about that. So we just had some things to work out. Like, even Jaden Daniels, after the game, he said, I liked the fact that we got the win, but he even referred to the offense himself as, quote, sloppy, unquote. And he said that there's plenty of room to grow after a 21-6 win over the New York Giants. Matter of fact, if you want to hear him, here he is for 36 seconds right here, uploaded by Ethan Cadeau in his press conference after the game.
First game, jitters or whatever, you're not going to be at your peak form in week 1, and you don't want to, but there's little stuff that we got to clean up and be more attentive on, and we'll hit that in film and get ready for a great balance short week.
What do you think of film?
We ran it hard.
Can you see defenses reacting to Deebo? Maybe you have to use him as a runner. Maybe he's a multi-threat guy. Can you see defenses lining up and reacting to that?
I would think they have to. There's a guy of many talents on that football field.
Shouts out to Jay Gruden. I feel like he brought up a good point. This was an average day for Jaden. 233 yards passing, 68 yards rushing, even though that's a different stat from what I had earlier. But either way, he said boring. Without him, I don't know if Washington even gets a first down, though. Dude is incredible. Congrats on the win. Yes, sir, I agree, Jay Gruden, bro. Jaden Daniels wasn't that tip-top shape. He was on, he was off at times. He was pretty sporadic overall. But at the end of the day, we don't win 21-6 without him. An average quarterback doesn't make the plays that he made and end up getting the win in this situation. So shouts out to Jaden Daniels for doing what he could, bro. And then you also have this passing chart by Jaden Daniels right here. And I feel like this shows maturity from the quarterback, because it's not like a lot of his throws were very easy. Granted, he went 19 of 30, which doesn't look that great. And technically his CPOE was a negative 1.6%. But if you look at the degree of difficulty of his throws, a couple of deep shots, even some stuff to the sideline, a lot of the stuff over the middle. Remember, his criticism coming out of the draft before we even drafted him was he doesn't like to throw over the middle, and even when he does, he's inaccurate. Well, most of his throws were completed over the middle. He had a few incompletions there as well, but at least he's consistently targeting it, and that's something that defenses have to cover. You can't ignore the middle of the field when you're going against Jaden Daniels. I love that. You have to cover the entire field. Of course, he completed a lot of his passes behind the line of scrimmage, but that's not necessarily guaranteed. Like that one time he overthrew a pass to Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt that he tried to stretch out for. But overall, I'm still pretty impressed with this chart because I like the degree of difficulty that's with this passing chart compared to like Jalen Hurts's, where all of his stuff was just super easy. Granted, he completed more passes because his passes didn't have as high of a degree of difficulty as Jaden Daniels, where Jaden Daniels has the key to the entire offense. The offense doesn't move without him. Jalen Hurts is a passenger. Jaden Daniels is a driver. And then also shouts out to Brian Burns, because after the game, after the loss, he said that he likes Jaden Daniels, but he talks a lot during the game. He talks too much. And then shouts out to my boy Dula Vision over there, who got all of the HD pictures. You see my profile picture on Twitter, that was him. All of the HD pictures that you see attached to me, Louis T, Ed Oliver, Rio Robinson, anywhere on our channels of social media, that was him that shot that. He's always the one that gets the great commander shots. He's the one that's always at the stadium getting the best pictures. He uploaded this picture of Jaden Daniels smiling at Brian Burns while running at him. He said salty. And I felt like this was just the perfect reply, bro. Brian Burns after the game saying Jaden Daniels talks too much, and look at Jaden Daniels laughing at him, probably talking to him as he's running away from him, and Brian Burns is running for his life to try to track him down, and Jaden Daniels is just taking it easy and just doing it so smooth. I love that, man. Now moving on to the running backs, because you know there's a lot to talk about there. First of all, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. And we're going to kind of bounce around because, you know, I typically talk in chronological order with each position group. So, like, first of all, shouts out to Austin Ekeler, man. He got the start at running back over Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. And let's even take a step further back. Chris Rodriguez, out of all four running backs between Austin Ekeler, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Jeremy McNichols, and Chris Rodriguez was the only one inactive. And I told y'all about that weeks ago, that is more than likely how it would end up playing out. So I wasn't the least bit surprised when I saw that, and I already knew when Chris Rodriguez was inactive, that meant Ja'Cory was going to get a lot of the carries, because I already knew Jeremy McNichols, we weren't going to rely on him to bring explosives to the team. But Austin Ekeler did technically start, but then Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt went out there, and even in less snaps than Austin Ekeler, I believe, he made the most of them and had the best day out of all of our running backs easily by far. Now, Austin Ekeler, oh man, that one play where he made a lot of guys miss, we're going to get there soon because, again, I'm kind of going in chronological order. But Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt's first touchdown of his career, absolutely insane, bro. Not only the vision to see it, that's one thing. Then the jump cut to bounce outside. And then the burst, explosion, and speed to beat everybody to the edge and get to the touchdown. I don't even think this play was designed to go to the outside. The Giants clogged up the middle. Again, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is not just this athletic freak, just this God-given talent. He's a lot of that as well, but there's also some vision and nuance to his game, some real instincts to him, and that's what makes him truly deadly, because that play out, it looks like it was designed to go somewhere in the middle in the teeth of the defense. He decided, oh wait, there's nothing out there. Immediately, like in a snap of a finger, immediately diagnosed the fact that, wait, there's nobody out there. Let me go bounce that out. You know what I'm saying? And so, shouts out to Ja'Cory. And so on top of the vision, on top of the extreme jump cut that he did, only the greats in the NFL right now can do that. That was the level of a jump cut of like a Saquon or a Bijan Robinson. Not everybody can do that. And then on top of that, the speed to get outside around the edge and get to the touchdown, to beat everybody there to the corner of the end zone so easily as well. We didn't have this level of explosion, speed, or quickness, or any of that. Just pure athleticism in our running back room at all at any point last year. And I can't even remember the last time that we did, to be honest with you. How many years has it been since we've had a running back that even just had the athleticism and speed to do that? And then also you had Austin Ekeler, bro. He had a false start on one play. Then the very next play, he had arguably the best play of his entire Commanders career, where he made like 4 guys miss tackles to get a first down. It was like 2nd and 15 or something like that. 1st and 15, something long. And he just made so many. He looked like he had, I don't know if y'all played NFL Street, but it looked like he had like game breaker and was just breaking impossible tackles, making guys miss, and more than got back the 5 yards that he cost us, bro. Again, going back to the theme and the identity of this team, that when you make a mistake, you go and make it up immediately, and I love that. And then, of course, you had a lot of different great running plays throughout the game from Austin Eckler. Even Jeremy McNichols ran the ball well, especially with our run blocking. Our offensive line was run blocking his tail off. Cliff Kingsbury, I definitely have a bone to pick with you, because somehow we ended up rushing for how many yards? We rushed for 220 yards. We have more rushing yards than passing yards, y'all. More rushing yards than passing yards. Nearly more rushing yards than the Giants had in total yards, just to let you know. And we avoided the run. We got away from the run in the second and third quarter. And I remember complaining live during the game, why are we not running the ball? It feels like almost every time we run the ball, we get at least 5 yards. Why are we getting away from that? The offensive line was run blocking its tail off. The tight ends were run blocking. The wide receivers were all fully committed to the run blocking efforts. We were running the ball so well, I still don't understand. So it's amazing that we somehow ran for 220 yards, and we got away from it in the second and third quarters. We ran the ball really well in the first quarter, ran the ball really well in the fourth quarter, and I don't believe the Giants ever really stopped us. They had a couple of plays where they kind of stopped us at the line of scrimmage or the behind the line of scrimmage, maybe 3 or 4 out of the entire game. I don't know why Cliff Kingsbury stopped doing it. But then, 2 minutes and 35 seconds left in the fourth quarter. We're trying to chew the clock. We're up 21-6. It's 2nd and 8. We're backed up in our own end zone. And Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt breaks free for 42 yards. And no other running back in our running back room has the speed to first of all get those 42 yards, let alone the agility to embarrass whoever number 27 is out in the open field with 3 defenders running behind him and running next to him trying to catch him. He still found a way to escape that number 27 with a juke move in the open field, and that slowed him down a little bit, which caused him to get pushed out of bounds, but he almost could have taken that to the house for an even bigger yard gain and a touchdown. But Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is the real deal. I told y'all, and I don't even want to go in this big I told y'all campaign, but like, come on, bro. Way back since April, before we even drafted the kid, before the draft even started, I said this is one of the guys that I'm looking at as one of my favorite potential picks in the draft. Then we get to the 6th round. I'm like, I don't even want to risk waiting until the 7th round to get him. Go ahead and take him now. I'm scared that he will not even be there in the 7th round when we get there. Then we get to the 7th round, and I'm basically praying, please draft Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. And then even before then, before we even drafted him, I told y'all if we get him in the 7th round, he's the steal of the draft. Immediately after we draft him, I did a whole 30-40 minute video breaking down his film, advanced stats from college and stuff like that, saying he will be the steal of the draft. As we go from April to May, I'll keep telling y'all, the steal of the draft. We get to June, you start to see little glimpses of it in practices. Steal of the draft. You start to see, especially in July and August, as we start to get the training camp. I kept emphasizing, and he was showing y'all, especially in the preseason at times, potentially the steal of the draft. Now you see, in this regular season, as soon as week 1, it didn't take till like week 5 or week 10, October and November for him to get going. Week 1, you're already seeing potentially steal of the draft. And we're going to talk about what I mean soon with the fact that he has more rushing yards out of every rookie running back so far in this draft class, but we'll get there soon. But also, I'm happy that Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, of course, he scored his first touchdown, but he was mad at himself for getting the ball again, because remember his first touchdown in that Bengals preseason game, he forgot the ball then. And so Jaden Daniels had to track that down and get it. This time it was Terry McLaurin that went and got it. And Bill even talked about it in his press conference after the game. He said, I think the excitement just takes over. And then Terry ended up finding the ball and giving it to him. So shouts out to Terry McLaurin for doing what Jaden Daniels had to do for him back in the Bengals game. But Ja'Cory, you need to keep track of your footballs after you score touchdowns. If you really want to keep them, you got to do a better job of that, man. But he ended up finishing the game with 10 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown, y'all. Just to let you know, he leads all rookie running backs in rushing yards so far with 82. Amarian Hampton is second with 48. And then Ashton Genty's down there with 40 right now. Come on, bro. And that is 38 rushing yards. 2 of that is receiving to make it up to 40. So right now, Bill, so far week 1, has had the best rushing season out of all of the running backs in this draft class. And I really want to remind you that not only was he drafted in the 7th round, but he was also a 0-star recruit coming out of high school. Like, that's the craziest part about that. So, again, please stop sleeping on Bill, bro. And also, I like the fact that in his press conference after the game, he acknowledged the fact that going against this Commanders defense all offseason is why he felt so ready for this season and why he's playing so well at all already as a rookie in his first game ever in the NFL. And now that we're starting to see how dominant this defense is, to where, you know, during training camp and stuff like that, it's hard to tell, is your defense that good or is your offense that bad? Is your offense that good or is your defense that bad? It's really hard to tell. Now that we've gone against an opponent, our defense looks like a top 5 defense in the NFL, exceeded my expectations so far. Granted, there's a lot to discuss. Like, there's a lot of nuance here, of course. Like, Russell Wilson is an elite quarterback. We got to go against guys like Pat Mahomes and Justin Herbert soon and stuff like that at some point this season. They didn't have Andrew Thomas, their starting tackle, one of the best tackles in football. You know what I'm saying? That's a Georgia dog, so of course he is. You know what I'm saying? But either way, there's a lot of context here. But our defense was dominant. My point is, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt pointed out the fact that you see how dominant that defense was against the Giants. They couldn't get nothing going. Well, I've been practicing against that all off season, so that's why I came out here and like the Giants defense. That's easy compared to what I've been going against in practice all off season. I love that. And also, I love the fact that Jaden Daniels didn't have to lead the team in rushing. Jaden Daniels didn't lead the team in rushing. That's beautiful, bro. But meanwhile, Russell Wilson led his team in rushing. He had 44 of their 74 rushing yards, which is never a good thing. Also, Washington now has 7 games with 200 or more yards rushing since the start of last season, which is now tying Baltimore for the most during that span. Now, granted, as I'm recording this, the Ravens, they're in this 40-38 score right now with 53 seconds left in the fourth quarter. By the time y'all see this, I don't know how the game ended or anything like that, of course, and I'm assuming they have a lot. They've surpassed us now with 8 games with how they've been rushing the ball from the random. I haven't been able to watch the game that much because I've been working on getting my notes together for this video and rewatching our game and stuff like that. I'm assuming they surpassed 200 rushing yards in this game from the clips I've seen from Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. They just had to. Also, before we leave the running backs, shouts out to Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, because in that Deebo Samuel touchdown with 7 minutes and 15 seconds left to basically put the game away, I mean, kind of put it out of reach, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt has one of the lead blocks on the play. Like, I'm not sure if we score this touchdown if Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt doesn't leave a wide open lane by taking a cornerback and holding them up outside of the lane so that Deebo Samuel has a tunnel to go through. So Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt not only getting it done as a running back, but also being a huge help as a blocker, bro. Shouts out to Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, man. He hooped today. Not only just as a running back that ran the ball, but also a blocker that was one of the main reasons why Deebo Samuel was able to get that 19-yard touchdown at the end of the game, bro. Absolute insanity. Now moving on to the wide receivers. Again, Chris Moore having one of the big catches of the game was insane. I remember complaining, like, why is Chris Moore even elevated off the practice squad? Does that mean he's going to play? Does that mean Noah Brown's not healthy? And granted, Noah Brown was healthy. He played. But, of course, he was on some sort of a pitch count. I think Terry McLaurin may have even been on some sort of a pitch count. I think they're trying to still ramp Noah Brown and Terry McLaurin up, so they don't want to throw him out there too often to risk them getting hurt even worse or you know, right now their bodies just probably aren't ready for the contact, so they're not playing as much as they will at some point later on down this season. Maybe even as soon as, especially with this upcoming game against the Packers coming just in 4 days on Thursday, so they probably were like, yeah, Terry and Noah Brown, just chill for a little bit. We need you more for that game. And again, Chris Moore with the big catch he had on the sideline was insane, man. He picked a great time to finally learn how to catch because he was awful in the preseason, dropping the only good passes that Sam Hartman ever threw in the preseason. And so for him to come out here and suddenly learn how to catch with Jaden Daniels, maybe Jaden Daniels just has a magic touch with his passes that only Chris Moore can only catch passes from him or something like that. And I also like the fact that we had some Terry McLaurin chants at some point in the game because he didn't have a target for a while. And at that point, they started to chant, Terry. And even after the game, he said in his press conference that he was really happy about that. Or when he was speaking to the media, like a media scrum or something like that, I remember him saying it to somebody that made him feel really good. And he talked about how he puts his heart into this game and stuff like that, and how he really like loves this city and everything, and how embraced all of y'all that were chanting Terry at that game. If you were at that stadium, y'all don't understand how good y'all made Terry feel with that. So shouts out to all of y'all that were at the stadium and chanted his name. Thank you from me personally. Also, I mean, that boy Deebo Samuel was doing them bad today. I mean, even as a blocker, like one of these plays where Jaden Daniels had a design run with like 8 minutes and 50 seconds left in the first quarter, Deebo Samuel had a great block there. You had a couple of the tight ends. I think John Bates had a pretty good block as well. But Deebo Samuel, not only as a contributor, as like a playmaker, he had some good blocks too. And then Noah Brown, he had some good plays, but he was even offsetting his own plays with his own penalties, being offsides as an offensive player. That was pretty crazy. And then Jalen Lane, going back to that theme and identity. You make a mistake, you make it up. Jalen Lane had a drop, which again, I partially blame Jaden Daniels for because it was thrown behind Jalen Lane. But then, immediately, the very next play, not a couple of plays later, not the next drive, not the next quarter, definitely not the next game, the very subsequent play, He makes a catch and runs for a first down. I love the mentality and identity of this team for allowing guys to make up for their mistakes immediately, bro. And then Deebo Samuel had some ridiculous catches, like some third downs. We gotta have it catches type of stuff, bro. It was absolutely insane. He ended up having like 2 drops, like 2 honest drops. They were in his hands. He should have caught it. But overall, a very positive performance from Deebo Samuel. He may not necessarily grade out perfectly if you're looking at Pro Football Focus grades and stuff like that, but forget all of that. He was a playmaker and just a straight baller today, bro. He balled out today, man. And going back to the same theme, at one point in the game, Deebo Samuel had a drop. Then a couple of plays later, an elite play design by Cliff Kingsbury that leads to Deebo Samuel on the end around for a 19-yard touchdown on the ground. And I want to take the time to, first of all, acknowledge how hyped Deebo Samuel was after the play. I love that. But also, we can't forget that we got to acknowledge the fact that Luke McCaffrey had a great block on Abdul Carter on that Deebo Samuel touchdown run in the round. You had Ja'Cory Cross-Kamara with a good block, but also Luke McCaffrey was charged with having to seal off Abdul Carter, and he did a great job with that. I absolutely love to hear that, man. That is an insane play from Luke McCaffrey as well. And just to let you know, that was Deebo Samuel's first carry. Remember, his first and only carry in the preseason. He ended up scoring getting a big play for 19 yards there. And how ironic, how coincidental that, oh wow, the Bills ended up winning this game. Oh, that comeback is insane. Ravens, y'all need to be ashamed of yourselves. But either way, shouts out to the fact that he had another 19-yard carry. So his first carry and only carry of the preseason, 19 yards. And then his first carry of the NFL season, 19 yards as well, on an end-around jet play as well for a touchdown, man. And then, of course, you can't forget the fact that he wore number 19 in San Francisco, too. I mean, I just feel like the numbers are just adding up too well. It's almost destiny, bro. The 19s for Deebo Samuel are insane. And that was his first rushing touchdown since week 1 of the 2024 season, just to remind you. And I'm telling, man, that pin pull package is different, bro. That's that play that got Deebo Samuel loose right there. But in his debut, he was 7 of 10 on receptions with targets. 7 receptions, 10 targets again, with 2 of them being like drops. 77 receiving yards, 1 carry for 19 yards and a touchdown. Fat who? All of that doubt and hate that Deebo Samuel was getting all off season, where is it now? But I told y'all before this game even started, Deebo Samuel was about to cook in his Cliff Kingsbury's offense. He is a perfect fit for it, bro. Also, Deebo Samuel, 7 receptions, were the most by a Washington player making their debut since Deshaun Jackson in 2013 versus Houston. Jackson had 8 receptions in that game. So shouts out to Deebo Samuel for having one of the best debuts in Washington history. That is amazing in itself. And I really feel bad for the Ravens. I'm seeing some of the clips of them looking sick on the sideline. I can't believe they lost that game. But also, man, Deebo Samuel was a home run hit by Adam Peters, bro. Again, he is the perfect fit in the Cliff Kingsbury system, but I've been telling y'all that for months. A lot of y'all didn't believe me. I'm glad you finally get to see it. And sadly, again, I feel like a lot of this was because Terry McLaurin was on pitch count. I also feel like a lot of this was because the chemistry that Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels had last season kind of went away a little bit, with Terry McLaurin missing a lot of the offseason. So he only finished with 2 receptions, 27 yards, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be far more involved in this upcoming Packers game. Just you watch. And now, offensive line wise, on my fault, before we even get there, tight end wise, how about talking about making up for a bad play? Zach Ertz had a false start one play, and then the very next play, he dropped what should have been a first down conversion on 3rd down. How about the very next drive? And on that play, he would actually have some yak too, which is crazy because you know he's known as No Yak Zach. But the very next drive, he makes up for it by scoring a touchdown, the first touchdown of the season, the first touchdown of the game. Amazing way to make up for it, bro. And with that touchdown reception, Zach Ertz with 54 passed Dallas Clark and moved into tie with Wesley Walls for number 11 all-time in NFL history in touchdown receptions by a tight end, bro. And then he had so many plays where he forced like holding penalties on defensive backs because of his route running ability. And I love the fact that he sells them very well as well. Like, he'll act like he got shot or something. Like, he like, oh, when he gets held and stuff like that, and it brings attention to it. And that's why he was able to force, I think, 2 holding penalties or 2 pat whatever on DBs. And those were big for getting us first downs and crucial points in the game. So Zach Ertz, even though he technically had, he ended up having, like, not a lot of catches, not a lot of yards, but he was more impactful than the stats show. Like, he had 3 catches for 26 yards and a touchdown. He was more impactful than that. He was definitely more impactful than that, just off of the penalties that he forced as well. And then, man, I mean, he has some great catches. Like at one point in the game, Jaden Daniels, again, not being very accurate throughout the game, threw a pass behind Zach Ertz. He's running this way. The pass is like this. He has to stretch his body and turn around and catch it. He made the catch for a first down. It was big time, bro. That was one of his 3 catches, man. He had a great game. And then John Bates, bro. I mean, if you look on that, with like 2 minutes and 15 seconds left in the game in the fourth quarter, we're just trying to run the ball and chew the clock out. John Bates had a ridiculous block to allow Jeremy McNichols to pick up yet another first down on that drive. John Bates, I'm pretty sure when I go back and look at the tape and really focus on him, he blocked his tail off. He looked like the best blocking tight end as we have known him to be the past couple of years. He looked like it today. He's a big reason why we're able to run the ball so well and get 220 yards on the ground. So shouts out to John Bates. And Zach Ertz, even after the game, in his media scrum said that, quote, "We're happy about the win, but our offense believes we score every time we touch the ball. 21 points isn't enough." And I love that mentality. I love that thought process because, yes, I agree. They were not good overall as an offense. From the standard that I have for this offense, they did not play well today. They played well enough to win because shouts out to the defense being dominant, which, of course, we're going to get to the second half of this video and talk about the defense and the special teams as well. But offense didn't play to our standard, but I love the fact that they know that. Jaden Daniels said the offense was sloppy. Zach Ertz said the offense didn't play well enough. I love the fact that they know we got to be better because we're trying to win a Super Bowl this year. We're not just trying to be good. We're trying to be elite. We're trying to be the best in the NFL. Again, we're trying to win a chip this year. Whatever we did today is not going to cut it throughout the entire season, so we know we got to be better, and I love the fact that they know that. Speaking of being better, the offensive line had a lot of down moments, but they also had a lot of great moments. First of all, run blocking wise, I would say they were dominant. Pass protection wise, I would word it as inconsistent because I don't think they were bad. I feel like there were moments where Jaden Daniels had all of the time in the world in the pocket. I also feel like there were times where the offensive line was getting abused, like especially Josh Connolly had an up and down day, I would honestly say. But he wasn't as bad as people think. We're going to talk about it really soon because even his Pro Football Focus grade reflected it and stuff like that. And even some stats about how many pressures he allowed. His day wasn't as bad as a lot of y'all feel. It's just when you're an offensive lineman, you know, you could have 20 great blocks in a row. You could have 20 great plays in a row. That one play you allow a pressure or a sack, everybody's like, whoa, you're the worst offensive lineman ever. You know what I'm saying? So Josh Connolly, and my biggest thing with Josh Connolly is that this is the worst he's going to be. And that wasn't even bad. Again, we're going to talk about it really soon. But, like, this is the worst Josh Connolly you'll ever see. First of all, this is one of the best pass rushing groups in the NFL. That's first and foremost. And also, this is Josh Connolly's rookie season and the first game of that rookie season. He's only going to get better from here. He just had to go against Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and all of those guys. He's only going to get better from here. If this is his low point, he has Pro Bowl All-Pro written on him. So I'm super excited about his future just before we dive into some of the bad things that he did because he was getting beat at times. Brian Burns taught him a few lessons at times, but hey, Laramie Tunsil was out there going crazy. Outside of one play that I noticed him get beat on, like I think somebody like went outside, then they came back inside on him. He was elite out there today. Laramie Tunsil was worth every penny, every draft pick that we gave up. I'm looking like we need to pay this guy long term now before his price tag goes even higher. Pay him mid-season or something, bro. It was insane. I remember seeing one play where somebody tried to do a spin on him. He made the spin look pointless, and it looked like a very athletic, smooth spin, but Laramie Tunsil basically just nullified it and negated it so well. He made the guy look stupid on that side, bro. It was crazy, bro. So I just absolutely love because Nick Allegretti had some moments. He had the hole, but overall he held it down. Can't wait for Samuel Cosme to come back healthy week 5 against the Los Angeles Chargers. But Josh Connolly held it down. We're going to talk about him really soon. Nick Allegretti, I feel like did a pretty decent job at right guard. Most importantly, the offensive line stay healthy. Most importantly, most of the team, pretty much the entire team stay healthy. That's a big thing as well. But Tyler Biotis did his thing at center. I feel like I have no complaints there. Left guard wise, Brandon Coleman has some ridiculous blocks, especially in the run game today, or technically by the time y'all are watching this yesterday. And then again, Laramie Tunsil was elite, bro. Laramie Tunsil was just on a different planet, man. Shouts out to Adam Peters, man. I feel like he did a great job of building the trenches, bro. The offensive line and the D-line, that's how you win football, especially in this division right here. You have to win in the trenches to win this division. Shouts out to Dexter Lawrence. From what I saw somewhere, I think he only had 3 total tackles. Like, we completely obliterated him in the run game. We moved him off of his mark and everything, moved him off of his spot. We were manhandling him today. He didn't have a chance to impact the game as much as he wanted to. Just let you know. Josh Connolly in his NFL debut with 41 pass pro snaps. He had to pass protect 41 plays in this game. He only allowed 1 pressure and 1 sack, no quarterback hits. He had an 81.3 pass protection effectiveness grade, and that is pretty good. Shouts out to Ryan Fowler for pointing out the fact that that is a really good for a rookie in his first game against Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and Kayvon Thibodeau. Again, if this is Josh Connolly's floor, Pro Bowl, All-Pro, written all over him. 41 pass protection snaps against that edge rusher group, arguably one of the best in the NFL. Like, you can argue there are better edge rushers in the NFL, but if we're talking about a total defensive line edge rusher group, the Giants may have the best pass rush ensemble in the entire NFL. And for Josh Connolly to go out there and 41 pass pro snaps and only give up 1 pressure and 1 sack, it's only up from here, bro. I'm super excited about his future, man. And then also, shouts out to CMNDERS on Twitter, Commanders, pointing out the fact that Jaden Daniels leads the NFC East in passing yards and passing touchdowns and yards right now. Deebo Samuel right now, because of course we just beat the Giants and the Eagles and Cowboys already played on Thursday. Deebo Samuel leads the NFC East in total yards as well, and Bill leads the NFC East in rushing yards. So right now, Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback, Deebo Samuel is the best receiver, and Ja'Cory Krusky-Merritt is the best running back in the division right now. And the Giants arguably have one of the best defenses in at least the division, maybe even the NFL. So I'm really impressed by that. Also, shouts out to Brett Coleman for uploading this stat right here. And then shouts out to @legend96_96 for pointing this out, that Washington played that sloppy versus that great defense and still ended up 6th. Look at this chart right here. Somehow, when looking at the highest successful play rate of the Sunday games, or really all of the games that were played up to this point, it is crazy that somehow the Commanders were 6th in highest successful play rate out of all offenses in the NFL. And it's sad that the Jets, you know, with Justin Fields did that well, because I believe they ended up losing, didn't they? Didn't they lose to the Steelers? If I'm not mistaken, they had a really good game, but they ended up losing. And I mean, just look at that. I mean, that is crazy. We were that sloppy. We were that off from what we expect this offense to be, and was still arguably, advanced stats-wise, one of the 6th best offenses in the NFL this weekend so far. That is absolutely insane, bro. Now, before we move on to the defensive side of the ball, of course, we got to talk about Sleeper, and we have reason to celebrate, y'all. Y'all may want to start following my picks, man. Hey, man, as y'all can see on y'all screen right now, I might be that guy, bro. Before we even get there, man, you just saw, man, the football is back. The Commanders are 1-0. We're feeling good, man, which means you now have a chance to 100 times your cash on daily fantasy football. Washington football has never been more exciting than it is now with elite offensive players. You saw Jaden Daniels, even on a, you know, an off day, an inconsistent day, still showing top 5 elite quarterback, MVP level quarterback flashes. You saw Terry McLaurin, and the chemistry is a little off, but you know that's gonna eventually pick up. And you saw Deebo Samuel go out there and ball out. I know y'all saw that, man. And so, I mean, I'm just super excited. We have all other Commanders players that you can play daily fantasy with. You can pick on stats for like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and for more, up to 100 times payout on Sleeper. And if you're right on your picks, you can win big money on, like you can see right now, man. Hey, I made a play, bruh. We're gonna dive into this soon, bro. You can use your promo code SCORE, that's SCORE, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. You can even just click the link at the top of the description in this video and every video that I make all season. And just in case if y'all don't know about combo play, you can even miss some picks if you go that route with combo play and still cash in if you choose that route. And it's not just the Commanders in the NFL. You can also play daily fantasy when the NBA comes back, MLB, NHL, college football is going right now. I'm about to start tapping into that bag because I know some college football. Y'all may want to follow my picks there as well. College basketball and even the WNBA on Sleeper. Entries can be made in 30 seconds or less. They have safe and fast withdrawals. It's so easy, man. Terms and conditions apply, of course. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. And then, of course, there's a $1 minimum entry for users. But let's talk about it. Let's address the monkey in the room, bro. Look at me. My first official real big bet that I've done this season so far through Sleeper, I put 10 down and ended up winning 802.70. I went Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. He had 2 of them guys. I was good. James Cook basically won me this just off of 1 reception that he had that big play. Of course, you go Joe Burrow over on passing yards when they give you that 0.5 on that. Deebo Samuel, anytime touchdown. Thank goodness he got that at the end of the game, because that could have cost me. Kyron Williams got his 1 touchdown. Brock Bowers, I love him. Best tight end in the NFL. Georgia dog. But I already knew he doesn't get a lot of touchdowns. I went and researched this before I even, played this, did this whole leg right here. I looked. I was like, man, Brock Bowers, I love him, but he doesn't score a lot of touchdowns. I knew Jahmyr Gibbs could give me more than 22.5, and I knew Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt was going to give us a game, bro. I believe he already hit the 27.5 before he even had that big 42-yard rush at the end of the game. So I already knew, man. So my first official serious fantasy that I've played today, that I played this season, already hit and turned 10 into 802, bro. So I may start posting my picks. I don't know if y'all want to follow them. I may start putting them on Twitter to say, hey, this is what I'm putting down. I'll probably start doing these maybe like Friday, maybe Saturday. I'm gonna let y'all know, hey, look out. This is what I'm playing. If you want to join it, if you want to be a part of it, especially definitely make sure you use my code SCORE to get 100% match up to $100. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I got the crystal ball this year. Follow me, man. Follow me, man. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. This is me. This is my account, and I literally just did this. I was shocked. I should have put y'all on beforehand, but this was me just kind of playing around. I did some research, and I told y'all about a couple of these picks last night on the Commanders Kings. Well, by the time y'all are watching this, let me just say Saturday night. I tried to tell y'all about some of these, like, hey, you may want to do this, you may want to do that. Then I finished it off by myself. Again, from now on, I'll probably upload these picks for y'all to see yourselves, and follow me, man, because through Sleeper, you can win big. Again, I turned 10 into 802. This is not just some random ad that I made up. This is literally my account. This is what I did, and I'm super excited because I don't think I've ever won this big before, and for me to do it the first time that I even tried this year, I'm super excited, man. This is gonna be a great year. Shouts out to Sleeper, man. Shouts out to y'all, man. Now we gotta talk about this defense, bro. The defense was insane today, bro. The defense was insane, and before we even dive into it, before I even forget this point, do you realize how much pressure we got on Russell Wilson, how much duress he was under, how many times we got to him only rushing 4? That's why the Eagles were so dominant last year. You rush 4 after the quarterback. Now you have 7 guys in coverage. Where does the quarterback go with the ball when 7 guys are back in coverage, but you have only 4 guys chasing after you, beating up on your 5 offensive linemen or any other blockers you may have in the game? We rushed 4 the majority of that game and still put up ridiculous stats. We're going to dive into the stats of the pressure rate, how many pressures each individual got on the D-line. It was insane. The fact that we can get pressure with 4 is going to unlock this Joe Wood Jr. defense and take it to new heights that Joe Wood Jr. wanted to deploy last year. We just didn't have the guys to do it. Now we do. Not only do you have a lockup corner in Tre'Davious Amos as a rookie, you have Marshall Lattimore fully healthy. Will Harris is, I love Jeremy Chin. Y'all know I'm the biggest Jeremy Chin fan doing it, but Will Harris is better in coverage than Jeremy Chin, so there's a no-fly zone back there. You have your linebackers that are more athletic and faster now, especially with the younger guys behind them, and this D-line only sending 4, getting pressure all game is the reason the Eagles were so dominant and won a Super Bowl last year. It's the reason that the Broncos look like the best defense in football right now. If you can consistently get pressure with 4, your defense is going to be great all year. This was not a fluke. Yes, I know Russell Wilson may be a little old. Yes, I know the Giants don't have a lot of great receivers outside of Malik Neighbors. Even then, we were locking him up on some plays. And I know Andrew Thomas was not in that game. But this defense is the real deal. I don't care about context. They were serious, bro. I mean, to get out on third down situations, they were getting off the field so well, bro. I mean, just to go back to the team stats real quick, bro. We forced them to go 4 of 16 on third downs. Come on, bro. What is that, bro? What is that? Well, Malik Neighbors making some ridiculous Malik Neighbors only like plays. I'm telling y'all, Malik Neighbors, I agree that Malik Neighbors is the best receiver in his division. He had moments in this game where he looked like it. He had one catch that was like, how do you have a magnet in your hands and a magnet in the ball? How did you catch that with like a pass interference going on and stuff like that? But the defense was just so dominant, it didn't matter. They can have Malik Neighbors all they want, but we're just going to have him on the sideline with a towel over his head, frustrated because the defense is just that great. The 3 and outs that they forced were insane. I mean, we had that one drive, the second Giants drive, where the refs gave 2 bad calls, and we had to get 7 stops in the goal to stop them. They were 1st and goal, 2nd and goal, 3rd and goal, 4th and goal, bad ref call. 1st and goal, 2nd and goal, 3rd and goal, and then they had to kick a field goal. Our defense shut them down 7 plays with goal to go. which just shows you how much better not only our overall defense is this year, but our run defense specifically. Because think about it like this. You saw how many out of those 7 plays they tried to pass the ball like 4 or 5 times. Last year, teams knew our run defense was wet toilet paper, so they would just run right up the middle against us those 4 plays in a row originally. Before we even got to the bat, ref called and gave them another set of downs at the goal to go. They would have just ran the ball right up the A-gap 4 times and dared us to stop them, and we wouldn't have last year. Now, they respect our defense. It only took the first half for the Giants to know, oh, man, I don't know. We can't really run through this defense, bro. They're clogging up everything with only 4. Bobby Wagner's in on every run play, every run, and all of that stuff. I mean, the Giants showed that they respected our run game. It only took us really only a quarter for the Giants to be like, man, this run defense is serious. This is not the Commanders of last year, bro. So that is impressive in itself, let alone the fact that they went out there and executed like that. Again, 7 goal-to-go plays in a row, and they only walked away with a field goal, bro. That is insane in itself, bro. And again, there was some horrible calls against our defense in that game. Now, our defense deserved a couple of them, but there was some terrible calls, and I feel like our defense was arguably dominant, bro. Shouts out to Grant Paulson for pointing out the fact that, of course, tremendous goal line stand by Joe Wood Jr.'s defense. They've been the story today. Really strong performance to open the season. 6 points allowed. New York Giants, 4 of 16 on third down, like I just said. Held the Giants to 3.7 yards per play. The G-men only had 231 yards total. We had 220 yards rushing alone. And the New York Giants running backs had 15 rushes for 30 yards, 2 yards a carry. That is absolute lockup, bro. Shouts out to Ref the District. He pointed out the fact that the 2024 Washington rush defense was 31st in the league, giving up 137 yards per game. Giants running backs again only have 15 rushes for 30 yards today. Insane, bro. And I love the fact that Joe Wood Jr. showed a lot of different looks, bro. Very versatile, very complicated defense to where offenses have no idea what we're doing pre-snap. They're trying to analyze. We had so many plays. I remember recalling when I was live streaming where the defense just has a bunch of guys standing up around the line of scrimmage and you don't know who's going to go for it or go backwards. You have no idea. They didn't even have their hands in the ground a lot of the time. It was insane, bro. I was looking at the Giants like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what our defense is about to do, and it usually worked more times than not, bro. And just to let you know, the Commanders haven't held a team without a touchdown since week 7 of 2020, bro. And shouts out to Dorrance Armstrong, because when he was told that after being interviewed after the game, he said, quote, "Oh, wow, great to be a part of that," unquote. And speaking of Dorrance Armstrong, bro, first of all, I do want to point out the fact that the Giants were the only 1 p.m. team that played that didn't score a touchdown out of every team that played at 1 p.m., bro. And also, you have Brian Daboll already talking about he's not going to commit to Russell Wilson as the week 2 starter. We already broke the Giants, and it's only week 1. They're already doubting their starting quarterback, Brian Daboll. They're going to start doubting him as the head coach very soon. We did our part in putting this Giants season away, and they're about to already start working on mock drafts and looking towards the draft already. It's early September, bro. But I want to point out the fact that Washington generated 22 pressures on 45 Giants dropbacks. I really want to point out the fact that that is insane. That was 5 more than Joe Wood Jr.'s defense recorded in any game last year. The most we ever had in the game was 17 last year. We had 22 week 1. I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think getting Javon Kinlaw, Dorrance Armstrong taking the next step forward, adding Von Miller to the room, adding guys like Jordan McGee and all of these guys, Dietrich Wise in free agency and all of that type of stuff, Daron Payne playing for a contract. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's a coincidence that suddenly we've had 5 more pressures in this game than we ever had in any game last year. And I want to also point out the fact that, again, 22 pressures on 45 Giants dropbacks. That means almost half of the time that Russell Wilson tried to drop back and throw the ball, he was pressured in some way. And I also want to further point out the fact that most of those plays were us only sending 4 defensive linemen. No blitzes, no extra defensive linemen. 4 guys. This defense has the potential to be top 5 all year if they continue to play like that. And again, also, out of those 22 pressures, like I foreshadowed earlier, Dorrance Armstrong led the group with 9. That was tying a career high in the game for him ever. The season is looking big, y'all. I'm telling y'all. Javon Kinlaw in his Commanders debut. And let's go ahead and get this out the way now. This was one of the guys, like Deebo Samuel. I feel like it was more so hate coming from outside the organization. Like, why did y'all bring in Deebo Samuel? He's fat. He's not going to be that good. But I feel like our fan base as a whole was overall excited for Deebo Samuel. Javon Kinlaw was different. I've been trying to tell people that Javon Kinlaw was going to be a different specimen for us, and I was getting a lot of fight back and push back and hate from our own fan base. I kept telling y'all, I did an entire 40-minute plus video breaking down why Javon Kinlaw is going to ball out this year for us and more than exceed and live up to the contract that he got. I know a lot of y'all hated the contract. Y'all like, why would we give Javon Kinlaw $15 million a year? And I told y'all, be patient. Javon Kinlaw is gonna ball out. If I hadn't not told you so, it's a mix between Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt on offense and Javon Kinlaw on defense that I kept telling y'all, I kept screaming at y'all for months. They're going to ball out. Javon Kinlaw had 4 tackles, 2 tackles for losses, 2 run stops, 2 pressures, 1 quarterback hit, and a hurry with an 86.9 run defense effectiveness yards. Man, he had some plays where he split like a double team and stopped the run. He was getting double teamed and was the one that stopped the run and made a tackle on a running back at or around the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage or whatever, bro. I tried to warn y'all about Javon Kinlaw, but now let's start to go in somewhat of like a chronological order. And I really do want to point out the fact that starting with the defensive line, and again, kind of going with my notes and how they happened throughout the game in chronological order, if I had to pick any position group as an MVP in this win, and there was a lot of candidates out there, the defensive line wins for sure. I don't even necessarily think it's close, bro. I mean, if this D-line can play like this every game, if they can, again, the key is the fact that they were able to get pressure consistently with only sending 4 defensive linemen. If they can do that all year, we're going to be a top 5 defense in the NFL, which is scary. Because like I said before the game even started during my live stream, I know this offense is going to be top 5. I just need our defense to be middle of the pack, just average. Just be somewhere in like the late teens or somewhere, and we're going to win a Super Bowl. If the defense is playing top 5 like how they played today all throughout the season, or at least the majority of the season, especially going into the playoffs, I'm telling you right now, with the Super Bowl is on the way this year, bro. Again, we were getting sacks and pressures, only rushing 4, bro. I mean, Javon Kinlaw immediately had a huge run stop on the first play of the game. They knew right then and there, yeah, we can't run it this way. We can't run it towards him, bro. And then Daron Payne had to stop on 3rd down that drive. It was an immediate 3 and out. And then Javon Kinlaw just kept doing what he wanted. He was, even if the stats don't show it, I feel like Javon Kinlaw, again, out of any side of the ball, defense was the MVP. Out of any position group on the defense side of the ball, the defensive line was the MVP for the team. If I had to argue who had the best game out of anybody from what I saw live and on a replay, without watching all 22, mind you, Javon Kinlaw was the best player on that entire field today. It was insane. And I like the fact that even Von Miller, we were mixing it up. Again, Joey Jr. was getting creative with a lot of his coverages. They were complicated, showing one thing, doing another, a lot of disguised stuff, a lot of disguised rushes, generated pressures, all of that type of stuff. But Von Miller was even out there on 1st down, and he even got a run stop on a 1-yard gain. Like, we were changing out personnel so often that our guys were fresh and going out there and playing at the best of their ability because they were never tired. We're so deep in the defensive line group that we could just interchange guys in and out so often that those guys are constantly going out there with maximum stamina and giving you the best that they have instead of being worn down and playing less than great. And I mean, oh my Lord, bro. I mean, that one play where he beats a double team between the guard and the tackle and hit Russell Wilson as he's throwing the ball. I want to let y'all know that there was a receiver open on that play. That was easily a 20-yard reception to the left sideline if Javon Kinlaw doesn't hit Russell Wilson like that. Russell Wilson's releasing the ball. He sees the wide receiver open. As he's throwing it, Javon Kinlaw hits him, so the ball ends up floating a little bit. If Javon Kinlaw doesn't split a double team to hit Russell Wilson, that is a 1st down gain for the Giants, but instead is an incomplete pass. He was a monster out there. And then shouts out to Daron Payne, who had a sack and a half, bro. I mean, that 3rd down play, it was 2 minutes and 53 seconds left in the second quarter. That Daron Payne sack was beautiful, bro. He beat his blocker so quickly, it was insane. And of course, in the live stream, we were just yelling about how, well, I was yelling about how, hey man, I told y'all, don't be surprised if Daron Payne acts up this year, because granted, technically he's on contract for next season, the 2026 season, but none of his money is guaranteed. So he has to ball out now, because I'm telling you right now, he's not playing in 2026 on his current contract. Either he's going to get more money here or he's going to go elsewhere and get more money. So he's playing for a big payday this year right now for what he's going to get next year and beyond that. And I wasn't surprised. I told y'all, Payday Payne is going to potentially ball out, because you know how he got. Last time he was playing for a contract, he had double-digit sacks, and he had never had a season anywhere near that good before then or after then, and it's looking like he's primed to have another one this year where, again, a sack and a half in week 1. Imagine what he's going to do throughout this season, bro. Then after that, soon after that, Javon Kinlaw with an insane run stuff. Again, another double team play where he gets the running back at the line of scrimmage, bro. Even Bleeding Burgundy and Gold said Kinlaw is 10 times better than what Jonathan Allen is going to give the Vikings in 2025, and I would agree, bro. Then you had that play with Dorrance Armstrong and Deron Payne with 13 minutes and 11 seconds left in the third quarter. 3rd and 4, Dorrance Armstrong and Deron Payne combined for a sack. They each get a half a sack on that play. I think Dorrance Armstrong may have gotten a full sack and Deron Payne got half of one, but it was amazing. Also, shouts out to Eddie Goldman. He played really well today. And the only reason I'm shocked is because he played so poorly in the preseason. But when we first signed him, I was like, yes, finally we have a true nose tackle to stop the run. But he even looked good getting into the backfield at times. He wasn't even just eating up double teams and allowing other guys to get their one-on-ones and make their plays. He was the one making plays sometimes, getting in the backfield and making run stops. Again, I wasn't surprised off of the fact that when we signed him, I was one of the biggest Eddie Goldman fans. Even out of Commanders Kings, I'm the one screaming, hey, Eddie Goldman matters. He's going to make plays. He's going to be impactful on his defense. He's going to be a part of the rotation and help us win games. But then he went out there in the preseason and made me look crazy. Then he went back out there this week 1 game against the Giants and made me look so right. And then Javon Kinlaw again just kept making plays. He was the one guy that just, as the game went on, just kept popping up. It seemed like every drive he at least made a play or two. It was insane. Then Deron Payne had a batted down pass at one point. Then Johnny Newton started to get in on the fun. He was making plays. Then later after that, Deron Payne batted down his second pass. It was insane, bro. Shouts out to the 33rd team for pointing out the fact that defense that generated pressure on 40% of their opponents' dropbacks in week 1. Yet the Steelers at 44% leading the NFL so far. Cowboys at second place with 42.4%, and we're not far behind them at 42.2%, third place. So our defense had the 3rd highest pressure rate out of all defenses in the NFL so far this year through week 1, but we still have a Monday night game to go through, so we'll see what happens there. But also, again, we have a Monday night game to get to, and I'm not sure if these stats, of course, I highly doubt they're updated with the Bills and Ravens game that just ended while I'm recording this, but Ryan Fowler pointed out the fact that week 1 total pressure leaders heading into the Sunday night and Monday night football games. Dorrance Armstrong is tied with Nick Bonito of the Denver Broncos for the most total pressures out of any players in the entire NFL with 9. Then you have Jeffrey Simmons, then you have Alex Highsmith, then you have George Karlaftis. I always forget how to pronounce his name in the Kansas City Chiefs. Then you have Milton Williams, and well-deserved payday with the New England Patriots leaving the Eagles from last year. Josh Allen of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then you have a Georgia Dog and Devontae Wyatt with the Green Bay Packers with 6. Then Johnny Newton right there behind him with 5. So the Commanders are the only team that have 2 players in the top 10 in pressure leaders right now in the NFL. And Johnny Newton, again, is right there. Dorrance Armstrong's tied for first. Johnny Newton's right there 9th or 10th, which is insane. Now moving on to the linebackers. I mean, what more can I say about Bobby Wagner, bro? He hooped, bro. He was so dominant in the run game, bro. He made so many run stops, but that's what helps. It helps when you have a D-line that all you got to do is send 4, and they can eat up the 5 offensive linemen and even make plays themselves. Now Bobby Wagner is having to deal with offensive linemen less. He's just coming through unblocked and making plays against the running backs because our D-line is just that great. And I saw him make some audibles for the defense pre-snap, and they would work out. We would end up getting a positive play for the defense out of it. And there was even that one play where Russell Wilson was scrambling. He put on a clinic there. Even at his old age, he's not as mobile as he used to be, but he did a great job of Russell Wilson was scrambling, so he started to play up a little bit. Then Russell Wilson looked like he was about to throw the ball to the receiver right behind Bobby Wagner because that was his primary responsibility. Cover this receiver behind me. And he had eyes in the back of his head. I don't know how he did it, but as soon as Russell Wilson looked like he was about to throw the ball, he backed up, which made Russell Wilson pull the ball back down and try to run for it. Then Wagner went and attacked him and got him for a very minimal gain, 2-3 yards on a scramble. It was a ridiculous play that I feel like a lot of people didn't really notice and really, I don't think I understand the degree of difficulty on that play, bro. And then Louisville, honestly, did not have a great game. I saw some missed tackles out there. I saw some inconsistencies. So it's crazy that our defense can be look like a top 5 defense in the NFL. And Frankie Louvu, our highest rated player according to the NFL top 100 players, technically, arguably to them, our best defensive player on the entire team. He had a bad game, I feel like, from what I saw. Granted, again, I got to look at the all-22 to see if he made some plays that I didn't notice that were good. But every time I noticed them, they were bad plays. I'm not going to lie. He was out there missing tackles. The only time he really made tackles was when he was helped with somebody else to kind of join in on the tackle. But I never saw him make an open field tackle his own. He got ran over by Cam Scatterbo one time. So, Frankie Louvu, I'm rooting for you. But you got to be better. But again, it's just so encouraging to see that according to the NFL's top 100 players, our best player on defense had an off day and our defense still looked dominant. Now, cornerback room-wise, Lattimore has some great plays on Neighbors. He got beat like maybe once or twice, but overall he had a great day against Malik Neighbors. And again, Malik Neighbors is the best wide receiver in his division. I feel like he's already a top 10 at least receiver in the NFL, arguably top 7. You can even make the case for top 5 wide receiver in the NFL already. And Lattimore, I told y'all, when healthy with 2 fully good hamstrings, is going to go out there and look way better than what he looked last year, and he went out there and proved that. He also recorded his first pass defense of the 2025 season in this game, and now he has 92 career defensive passes defense, and today was also his 100th career regular season start. So congratulations to Marshawn Lattimore for all of those. Also, Lattimore is the 5th most career passes defense in the NFL among active players, bro, and he still has a lot of football left to go. Now, Noah Benogany didn't have the best game overall, but he has some great coverage on an island one play to force an incomplete pass with no safety help. I thought that was really impressive. Then Trey Amos, I honestly would say that from what I saw, and especially after looking at the game again, your rookie corner did the best job against Malik Neighbors out of anybody. And Lattimore did well. Noah Benogany had a couple of plays as well. And Mike Sanford still had a pretty good day overall too. But Amos was the best corner on that field today between both teams from what I saw. Again, I can look at the all-22. Maybe there's something different that I'm missing. But from what I saw live and watching the game replay from the same live angle, Trey Amos was the best corner on that field for both teams, bro. Insane stuff. And I really want to emphasize the fact that as a corner, as a rookie, let alone in your first game, that is insane to play that well, especially against a guy like Malik Neighbors. I keep telling y'all, quarterback and cornerback are the hardest positions to make that jump from college to the NFL and be good immediately as a rookie. Those are the 2 toughest positions, making that jump from college to the NFL. Even shouts out to my Georgia dog, Kamari Lassiter, last year. He's one of the very rare ones that makes that jump from college to the NFL as a rookie and is immediately a good corner for you for an NFL team and can play out there all of the time. Trenavian Amos, I feel like, was even better than him today. Trenavian Amos is headed towards a Defensive Rookie of the Year award with the way that he played today. I'm not lying. Let me put it like this. It's already hard for corners overall to cover Malik Neighbors at all, let alone a rookie. Let alone a rookie in his first game. Like, come on, bro. It's insane what Trenavian Amos did, bro. You could argue that him and Javon Kinlaw were the MVPs of this entire team, let alone just the defense, bro. Insane stuff, bro. I could talk about Trenavian Amos for hours, bro. I don't think you'll understand the degree of difficulty, again, making a jump from college to the NFL. It's your rookie season. It's your first game of your rookie season. And then it's Malik Neighbors, a top 7, top 5 wide receiver in the NFL in your first game in your rookie season. And he played that well. That is scary stuff for opposing offenses, bro. It's going to get spooky because he was out there with no safety help. Again, I want to keep bringing up the fact that Quinyon Mitchell had a good season last year, but most of the time he had safety help. That's why he was able to be so aggressive and play so well. Trenavian Amos was out there on islands with Malik Neighbors. If Trenavian Amos can lock up receivers the caliber of Malik Neighbors on islands without safety help, and we can get to the quarterback with 4 defensive linemen, why are we not potentially one of the best defenses in the NFL? Because what as an offense do you even do with that? If Trenavian Amos is erasing the best receiver on your team, the D-line is getting after you with only sending 4, now you have 6 other guys doing whatever in coverage. Like, what can you do? How do you gain yards and score points on a defense like that? This is absolutely scary. Trenavian Amos exceeded all of my expectations. Javon Kinlaw kind of hit around what I expected. I told y'all Javon Kinlaw was going to be different, but I didn't expect Trenavian Amos, again, as a rookie. A rookie in his first game. A rookie in his first game, having to cover a Malik Neighbors. I didn't expect him to be that great, bro. Then the safety group, bro. Will Harris, man, that game-saving touchdown, I mean, that could have been the only touchdown of the game for the Giants, man. When it was the first quarter with 40 seconds left, he made that open field tackle on Russell Wilson and it forced a fumble while at it. Oh, I know that was the Jeremy Reeves, though, forced the fumble, but still, it was a great open field tackle by Will Harris right there to prevent the only touchdown. No, it was a forced fumble. That was a forced fumble on Russell Wilson. He just happened to recover it as well. But yeah, man, Will Harris, the open field tackle, he had some good plays in coverage in the end zone. I saw he's really clutch there. Like when it's money drives and it's a touchdown on the line, it's points on the line, Will Harris steps up and has his best coverage on those plays. Again, I love Jeremy Chin, but Will Harris is way better in coverage, and that's what this defense probably needs right now. So he's probably a better fit for what we're trying to do, especially since like Tyler Owens and Jordan McGee, Kay Madrano eventually, Ale Cajo eventually can kind of substitute what we lost in Jeremy Chin leaving the Commanders. And then All-Pro Revo hooped, bro. That forced fumble on third down. Now, they called it incomplete for some crazy reason, but still, that was a huge play to force a punt. It was like late in the game, and it was like a we have to get off this field right now play. And again, I felt like it was a fumble. It is what it is. The most impressive part was that he read the play early. He diagnosed what the offense was doing and immediately missiled to it. The hit was big, the hit was great, but I feel like the awareness, the IQ, the play recognition was the most impressive part of that, and that's why Joe Wood Jr. warned y'all earlier in the offseason, hey, Jeremy Reeves is going to play on defense, and then immediately, game 1 of the season, he goes out there and makes a play that insane. The play recognition was absolutely wild, bro. I mean, only being like a year removed from ACL surgery, and the way he's playing right now, playing the best ball of his NFL career is insane. And then Quan Martin played really well as well today. He didn't make a lot of plays. He should have had an interception, but they called a flag on us that I'm not sure if I entirely agree with that flag. But either way, me and Rio told y'all, hey man, the Commanders might get an interception in this game. And then I said if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Quan Martin. He should have had him one, but it ended up a penalty ended up negating it. But Quan Martin, man, he had a great game as well. It's kind of hard to evaluate safeties because you don't really see them until you get to see the all-22 film, so I can't wait to get a hold of that to see how great Quan Martin played, because I feel like he played very well. No complaints from him. Then special teams wise, man, Jeremy McNichols came to play. I think it was on the first like punt return after our first offensive drive that the Giants started to return a punt. Jeremy McNichols laid a big hit, and then he was talking crazy trash to him. I'm like, did this guy do something to you or your family? Why are you taking it so personal? I love the energy that he brought. And then speaking of energy that was brought in special teams, Nick Bellora had 2 huge hits on special teams in the first half. He was huge for the energy, bro. Like, he was one of the main reasons our defense went out there and played the way that they did. He was kind of like this energy spark that got everybody else going and riled up. Like, hey, let's get it, bro. We hitting today. That's the personality. That's the physicality that we're playing with today. I feel like Nick Bellora on special teams kind of set the tone for the defense, I'm not going to lie. Now, we do got to acknowledge the fact that Ben Sinnott got whooped on punt blocking Abdul Carter, which allowed the punt to get blocked on Tressway, and that may have even led to the back injury that he ended up having, you know, that we talked about earlier in the video. So I don't know. But it was amazing that Tressway even got the ball all the way to the 29 after it got blocked. That means he kicked that really hard. But Ben Sinnott, you got to be better on punt blocking, because I remember even seeing at some point later on in the game, he allowed somebody else that after Abdul Carter beat him that way, it may have been Abdul Carter again or somebody else, they beat him the other way. Like, I think the first play it was to the inside, the next time it was to the outside or something like that. Ben Sinnott, you're scaring me on punt blocking right now. I hope it doesn't come back to bite us, but that needs to be addressed and fixed immediately. And it's sad that that's the only time I noticed Ben Sinnott out there all day. And then shouts out to Luke McCaffrey too. Jalen Lane was pretty good on punt returns. He did everything that he could, but it just wasn't a lot of great blocking out there for him to do much. But he was great. He was smart when to catch the punt and just kneel it, when to fair catch it, when to just allow it go past him and go into the end zone so we could start with decent field position. And I feel like he was really smart there. And whenever he could try to break a tackle, he tried. But it just wasn't a lot of good blocking to even get. He didn't have a lot of opportunities to do anything anyway. But Luke McCaffrey had an excellent 36-yard kick return. Remember, Deebo Samuel and Luke McCaffrey, we started kick returners in this game, and Luke McCaffrey had a 36-yard return that really set us up with solid field position at some point in the game. And the offense, I think we ended up making something out of that drive. So Luke McCaffrey may have been a spark for some points in the game. First of all, he had a block on a Deebo Samuel touchdown run at the end of the game to make us to get us to 21 points, and he also had a good return. So Luke McCaffrey, he may not necessarily be contributing in the way that you expected as a wide receiver catching passes, but he's contributing to this team winning games right now, and I love that. Also, before we go, I have a few other opinions and updates and thoughts from the game from some other people like Commander's Realm. He said, thoughts on today's win versus New York. He said, Payne had the best day in a couple of years. I would argue that. And even then, I feel like Javon Kinlaw had the better day. Way too many penalties. I'd be surprised if any team has more than them after this week. I thought that was an interesting point. That's a good point. Tons of penalties and drops, but Jaden Daniels' ability to overcome BS is special. I completely agree. Run defense looked better than it did in any game last year. I completely agree. And you saw glimpses of that in that Bengals preseason game when we had our starters out there, so I'm not the least bit surprised. We weren't sure even sure if Bill would dress today. Well, I was, but he went for 10, 81, and 1 and iced the game on a kind of run that we weren't getting ever last year from any of our running backs that we had on roster. Special teams looked shaky at times, but Giants got extremely close to blocking multiple punts. Ben Sinnott, get on that. There were a few questionable cliff calls, but considering they were in 2nd and 20 every other play, I didn't think he had a bad day. I would agree with that. I feel like we were in some ugly situations due to penalties and sacks and stuff like that. I agree. I feel like Cliff Kingsbury did a pretty good job overall. There were some plays I know he wished he could have taken back, especially that 2-minute drill that we ran before the first half, but outside of that, great play calling from him. In flashes. Not an overall great day, but great flashes. Jaden threw high a few times early, but he seemed to calm down in a second. I agree there. He said I didn't have to mention any corners' names. That's a first. They played very well, all of them. Jaden had over 300 total yards and hit 7 different receivers. I feel like that's really significant. He can throw it to anybody. Anybody that's available, he's going to hit them. You can't just only focus on stopping Terry and Debo and Zach Ertz, because other guys are just going to get involved and going to dice you up as well. The Commanders were the better team in every aspect and appeared to stay healthy and ready to do it again in 4 nights. That's one of the most important parts there. The fact that it feels like we walked away from that game fairly unscathed is huge. The Linnell Willingham says stock ups for Javon Kinlaw, Will Harris, Austin Eckler, Debo Samuel, the offensive line, Dietrich Wise, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and Jeremy Reeves. I completely agree with all of those. And then also, before we go, just to let you know the very last thing, the Commanders are 3.5-point underdogs to the Packers right now, because we do play in Green Bay, so we're underdogs. Even after what we just did against the Giants, people right now, betting lines and stuff like that, still think that the Packers are going to end up winning that game. Let's go prove everybody wrong Thursday night, bro. And so the Commanders, just to let you know, an update, beat the Giants 21-6. The Packers beat the Lions 27-13. Let's see who's the better team Thursday night. I can't wait. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you everything discussed video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinion video just like this one. Of course, I'm going to be live streaming every game that I can. I'm going to do game reviews just like this one after every game as well. So make sure you stay tuned for this season, because we're going to have some fun. Regular season, postseason, and Super Bowl. I got y'all covered for game previews, during game live streams, and game reviews just like this one. And also, most importantly, shouts out to my watch to the end of the video game, man. Shouts out to watch to the end gang in the chat, man. I really appreciate all of y'all that watch these videos all the way to the end. Salute to y'all personally. Really appreciate y'all. Leave a like on the way out, and of course, let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree with any of my points that I brought up. Let me know how you felt about this game. Were there any points that I didn't bring up that you felt like should be addressed? Were there any players that I didn't highlight in this video, in my review, that you feel like deserve more shine? Let me know your exact thoughts in this comment section. I'm gonna try my best to read and reply to as many comments as possible, because I want to see. I may have missed some stuff, so put me on game. Let me know some of the observations you had. Let me know some stock ups, some stock downs, so let me know how you felt about things, and you can make me a smarter, YouTuber from that. So put me on. Really appreciate y'all. I feel like I did a pretty decent job of covering a lot of things, but of course I can't cover everything, especially without the all 22 film. So let me know what thoughts you had, because I really want to read and reply to as many of these as possible in this video. So I really appreciate y'all. Leave a like on the way out. Of course, I will be live streaming that Thursday night game against the Packers, so stay tuned for that. Catch y'all later. I'm out.